If you think flirting is obvious, if you believe interest always announces itself loudly, you assume you'll recognize the moment when it happens, then this video is going to make you uncomfortable because the most dangerous form of attraction doesn't look like desire at all. It looks like a simple comment, a quiet observation, a sentence so harmless you'd dismiss it without a second thought. And that's exactly why most men miss it. Here's the truth no one ever told you. The women who understand power don't chase it. They test it. Silently, subtly. And if you don't know what to look for, you will fail the test without even realizing you were being evaluated. You won't be rejected. You'll be forgotten. And that's far worse. At some point in your life, a younger woman has already done this to you. She watched how you reacted when attention was placed on you. She noticed whether you stayed grounded or shifted, whether you became eager or remained steady, whether you tried to impress or simply existed. And in those few seconds, she made a decision about you that you never knew was being made. This is not about dating tricks. This is not about manipulation. This is about psychology, presence, and the kind of confidence that doesn't speak unless it has to. The kind of confidence that makes people lean in instead of pulling away. Most men will never understand this because it requires stillness, not effort. Awareness, not performance. If you stay until the end of this video, you will never hear subtle compliments the same way again. You'll stop reacting. You'll stop guessing, and you'll finally understand why the strongest men in the room rarely say the most. Miss this, and you'll keep doing what you've always done, trying harder and getting less. Most men misunderstand subtle compliments because they assume praise is always a reward. They think a compliment is given to make someone feel good, to encourage, to reassure, or to flatter. That assumption alone is what causes them to miss what is actually happening in real time. When a younger woman offers a subtle compliment to an older man, it is rarely about generosity. It is about observation. It is about curiosity. And more than anything, it is about assessment. A subtle compliment is not admiration handed to you freely. It is information being exchanged quietly. When she says something like, "You seem very composed," she is not applauding your calmness. She is studying it. She wants to see whether that calm is authentic or performative. She wants to know if it is rooted in experience or if it collapses the moment attention is applied. The compliment is the stimulus. Your reaction is the data. This is where psychology enters the room. Human beings reveal their internal structure under mild pressure. A compliment is a form of pressure. It sounds positive, but it destabilizes men who are not internally secure. It creates self-consciousness. It triggers the need to respond correctly. It awakens the fear of losing approval. And that reaction tells her everything she needs to know. If a man rushes to explain why he is calm, he is signaling that his identity needs justification. If he laughs nervously, he is signaling discomfort with being seen. If he exaggerates or performs confidence, he is signaling insecurity dressed as strength. None of this is conscious on her part. It is intuitive. She feels the shift before she understands it. This is why subtle compliments are never about ego. They are about emotional regulation. A younger woman who is drawn to an older man is often drawn to what she does not yet have access to within herself: stability, perspective, emotional containment, a sense of inner order. She is not looking to be impressed. She is looking to see whether your nervous system is steady. That is why the compliment lands softly. If she wanted to flatter you, she would be obvious. Obvious compliments are cheap. They don't reveal anything. Subtle ones do. When she says, "You don't react the way most people do," she is not praising your uniqueness. She is testing your relationship with control. She wants to know if your restraint is chosen or forced. She wants to see if you become self-aware or remain self-possessed. Men who fail this test fail it quietly. They think the mistake is saying the wrong thing. The mistake is needing to say anything at all. A man who understands this does not rush to interpret the compliment as interest. He does not attach meaning prematurely. He allows the moment to exist without grabbing it. That alone communicates something powerful: internal sufficiency. Here is the deeper philosophical layer most people never consider. Attraction at its highest level is not about stimulation. It is about orientation. People are drawn to those who seem internally aligned. A subtle compliment is a way of checking whether your inner world is organized or reactive. This is why younger women do not compliment appearance when flirting with older men. Appearance is unstable. It fades. It requires maintenance. It creates competition. Instead, they compliment qualities that suggest permanence: calm, insight, presence, depth, stillness. Those qualities cannot be faked for long, so when you respond by trying to impress, you violate the very thing she is drawn to. You introduce effort where there was ease. You introduce performance where there was authenticity, and she feels the shift immediately, even if she cannot articulate it. What shocks most men is realizing that the compliment was never meant to be consumed. It was meant to be observed. Think about this carefully. A grounded man does not experience a subtle compliment as a spike of validation. He experiences it as a neutral acknowledgement. It passes through him without disturbance. That emotional neutrality is what makes him compelling. This is not indifference. It is integration. He does not reject the compliment. He does not cling to it. He does not define himself by it. He remains intact. That integrity is what younger women test for, whether they realize it or not. Because attraction toward older men is rarely about age. It is about orientation toward life, toward pressure, toward uncertainty, toward self-worth. A man who has internalized his value does not react when it is mirrored back to him. He recognizes it and continues. This is why subtle compliments are dangerous for men who are externally validated. They expose dependency. They reveal hunger. They show where confidence is borrowed instead of owned. And here is the uncomfortable truth. The more a man needs the compliment to mean something, the less it means. The more he tries to turn it into momentum, the more he disrupts the dynamic. The strongest response is not silence for effect. It is silence born of comfort, or a brief acknowledgement that carries no emotional charge. Something simple, something grounded, something that does not seek to prolong or escalate, because escalation is not your role. Contain. NT is. When a younger woman tests an older man through subtle compliments, she is asking one quiet question beneath all the words. Can this man remain himself when attention is applied? Or does he fracture under observation? That question determines everything that follows. And once you understand this, you stop chasing meaning. You stop decoding every word. You stop trying to play it right. You become still. Because the moment you realize the compliment was never the prize, only the probe, you step into a different position entirely. You stop being evaluated and you start being felt. The man who understands this does not win by reacting well. He wins by not needing to react at all. And that is the difference between being flattered and being chosen. Most men believe attraction is created by saying the right thing. They think the moment is won or lost in words. That belief alone is what causes them to fail when it matters most. Because in real psychological dynamics, especially between a younger woman and an older man, attraction is not shaped by what is said after the compliment. It is shaped by what happens inside you in the seconds that follow. The compliment is never the moment. Your reaction is. When a subtle compliment is offered, something shifts internally. Attention is placed on you. The spotlight moves, even if briefly. And how you carry yourself in that moment reveals your relationship with power, validation, and self-worth. Most men don't notice his shift. They feel it, but they don't understand it. Their body tightens, their mind speeds up. They begin scanning for the correct response. That internal scramble is what gives them away, because confidence does not scramble. A man who is grounded does not feel urgency when he is noticed. He does not rush to secure the moment. He does not try to convert attention into approval. His nervous system remains steady, and that steadiness is felt immediately. This is why reactions matter more than response. You can say the perfect words and still fail the test if your energy changes. Attraction is not logical, it is physiological. She senses whether the compliment destabilized you long before she hears what you say. If your posture shifts, she feels it. If your tone sharpens, she feels it. If your pace changes, she feels it. The words are secondary. A younger woman offering a subtle compliment is not looking for charm. She is observing regulation. She is watching how you hold yourself when you are momentarily elevated. Do you stay centered, or do you rise and fall with external input? This matters because emotional leadership is not about control over others. It is about control over self. A man who becomes animated, overly warm, or eager after a compliment reveals that his sense of value is externally triggered. He may believe he is showing interest, but what he is actually showing is dependency. And dependency kills polarity. On the other extreme, a man who deflects the compliment harshly or dismisses it entirely also fails the test. Not because humility is unattractive, but because denial often masks discomfort. If you cannot receive acknowledgement without shrinking, you signal unresolved insecurity. The balanced response sits quietly in the middle. You receive the compliment without attaching identity to it. You acknowledge it without amplifying it. You move forward without needing to extract more. That balance communicates something rare, inner authority. And inner authority is what younger women instinctively look for in older men, not dominance, not control. Authority, the kind that comes from alignment, not force. This is where philosophy enters the conversation. A man who reacts strongly to compliments is still negotiating his self-image. He is still asking, consciously or unconsciously, is this who I am? A man who does not react is no longer negotiating. He already knows that knowing creates gravity. Think about it carefully. The people who affect you most are rarely reactive. They are measured. Their presence is consistent. You know where they stand. They do not rise with praise or collapse with criticism. That emotional consistency is deeply attractive because it signals safety and direction. So when a younger woman watches your reaction, she is asking herself a quiet question. Is this a man who can remain steady when things are pleasant, or only when things are difficult? Because true strength shows up in RT, not just adversity. Anyone can be composed under stress. Few can remain composed under admiration. Admiration tempts the ego. It invites performance. It whispers, this is your moment. And men who chase moments lose presence. This is why trying to be impressive after a compliment works against you. You interrupt the flow. You shift the dynamic from grounded to transactional, from being to doing, and she feels the loss instantly. A grounded reaction is not passive, it is intentional. It is the quiet decision not to turn attention into currency, not to trade authenticity for momentum. This does not mean being cold. It means being complete. You can acknowledge warmly without leaning forward. You can smile without signaling hunger. You can accept without chasing continuation. The reaction that deepens attraction is the one that does not need to capitalize on the moment. Because the most powerful signal a man can send is this: I am not moved off my center by your approval. That does not repel interest, it intensifies it. Here is the paradox most men struggle to accept. The less you need the compliment to go somewhere, the more it does. When you react calmly, you create space. When you create space, curiosity grows. When curiosity grows, she invests emotionally without realizing it. But when you react with urgency, you collapse space. And without space, attraction suffocates. This is not manipulation. This is emotional physics. Your reaction sets the emotional temperature, and she adjusts herself to it instinctively. If you are regulated, she relaxes. If you are reactive, she becomes cautious. If you are needy, she withdraws. Nothing needs to be explained. The body understands before the mind does. This is why men who truly understand attraction focus less on technique and more on inner posture. They train themselves not to perform, but to remain, because remaining is harder than acting. It requires self-trust. It requires emotional discipline. It requires knowing who you are without needing confirmation. And once you embody that, compliments stop feeling like tests. They become passing moments of recognition that do not alter your direction. You continue speaking, you continue listening, you continue leading your own rhythm. That continuity is magnetic. So remember this, the next time a subtle compliment lands and you feel the urge to do something with it, do nothing extra. Let your reaction communicate what words never could. Because the man who does not rush to respond is not slow, he is anchored. And the man who is anchored is not chasing attraction, he is allowing it to arrive. There is a misunderstanding that quietly sabotages many older men when they interact with younger women, and it begins with the belief that attraction is still a competition of youth. Men assume they are being evaluated against younger men on energy, looks, excitement, or novelty. That assumption is not only wrong, it places you in the weakest possible position from the start. Because younger women who are genuinely drawn to older men are not searching for what they already have access to. They are responding to what time has shaped in you. They are not attracted to youth, they are attracted to orientation. Time does something important to a man if he allows it to. It strips excess. It exposes illusion. It forces confrontation with failure, limits, and responsibility. A man who has moved through that process without becoming bitter, defensive, or performative carries a quiet authority that cannot be replicated by age alone. That is what younger women feel when she compliments your perspective, your calm, your restraint, or your decisiveness. She is not being polite. She is acknowledging a quality that signals depth. Depth is attractive because it promises direction, and direction is something many younger women are still searching for internally. This is where men misunderstand the dynamic. They believe they must compensate for age by being more entertaining, more energetic, more agreeable. They try to prove they are still relevant. But the moment you attempt to compete on youth, you negate the very advantage you possess. You are not meant to be exciting in the way a younger man is exciting. You are meant to be grounding. That grounding is not boring. It is regulating. Psychologically, people are drawn to what stabilizes their nervous system. A man who is emotionally regulated, internally consistent, and comfortable with silence offers something rare in a world saturated with stimulation. Younger women live in constant noise, social, emotional, digital. An older man who does not add to that noise stands out immediately. That is why a subtle compliment often focuses on your demeanor rather than your appearance. You're very composed, you don't seem rushed, you think differently. These are not casual observations. They are signals of attraction toward your inner structure. And here is the key insight most men miss. What attracts her is not what you say. It is what you no longer need to say. A man who has lived learns when effort is unnecessary. He stops proving, he stops explaining, he stops chasing validation. That restraint is felt as confidence because it comes from experience, not bravado. Younger women are not blind to the difference between confidence that is earned and confidence that is borrowed. Borrowed confidence is loud. Earned confidence is quiet. When a man has faced consequences, loss, responsibility, and self-doubt, and still remains present and open, it creates a sense of emotional safety. That safety is not about protection in a physical sense. It is about containment. She feels the emotions will not overwhelm you. That uncertainty will not destabilize you. That her youth will not intimidate you. This is why trying to act younger weakens attraction. It signals fear of aging rather than acceptance of growth. It suggests that time has taken something from you instead of giving something to you, and that creates imbalance. A younger woman does not want to feel like she is lending you vitality. She wants to feel like you are off. Ring perspective. That exchange only works when you respect what time has given you. Older men who become attractive to younger women are not those who resist age, but those who have integrated it. They carry their years lightly. They do not apologize for experience. They do not hide wariness. They do not exaggerate wisdom. They simply exist as they are. That authenticity is what creates polarity. Because polarity is not about difference in age. It is about difference in orientation. One person is still forming. The other is formed enough to hold space. This is also why younger women test older men differently. They are not testing charm. They are testing consistency. They want to see whether your calm is stable or situational, whether your boundaries hold when challenged, whether your values remain intact under attraction. A man who understands that his value comes from time stops chasing signals. He lets interactions unfold at a natural pace. He does not rush intimacy. He does not need to accelerate connection. He trusts that depth reveals itself slowly, that patience is attractive because it mirrors emotional maturity. And here is the philosophical truth beneath all of this. Time does not automatically make a man valuable. Awareness does. If time has made you bitter, defensive, or rigid, younger women will feel it instantly. But if time has made you reflective, grounded, and selective, it becomes your greatest asset. This is why subtle compliments are directed toward your inner qualities. They are not praising what you do. They are acknowledging who you have become. And the moment you understand this, everything changes. You stop competing, you stop comparing, you stop trying to keep up. You begin to stand. And standing calmly in who you are creates a gravitational pull that does not rely on effort. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this. Do not try to impress her with what you can still do. Allow her to feel what you no longer need to do, because attraction does not grow from youth trying to be older or age trying to be younger. It grows when a man fully occupies the depth his years have already given him. And when you do that, time stops being something you defend against and become the reason you are chosen. There is a moment in every interaction where attraction either deepens or quietly dissolves, and most men never realize when that moment occurs. It does not happen when you speak. It does not happen when you compliment back. It happens the instant you decide to adjust yourself to be liked. That is the exact point where power leaves the room. Attraction does not respond to effort, it responds to alignment. When a man senses interest, especially from a younger woman, his instinct is often to lean forward. He becomes more agreeable, more expressive, more animated. He tries to meet her where he thinks she is. And in doing so, he abandons where he actually stands. That abandonment is felt immediately. Holding your center means remaining rooted in your identity regardless of external feedback. It means your tone, pace, and presence do not shift because someone shows interest. You do not elevate yourself, and you do not shrink. You stay consistent. This is not emotional detachment. It is emotional sovereignty. Most men confuse interest with invitation. They believe attention requires reciprocation, but attraction deepens when one person remains anchored while the other explores. If both move toward each other at the same time, tension collapses. Polarity requires stillness. A man who performs after sensing attraction communicates uncertainty. He signals that his sense of self is flexible, negotiable, and dependent on approval. That may create short-term excitement, but it erodes long-term desire. Younger women are especially sensitive to this because they are already surrounded by men who perform, men who try to impress, men who chase momentum, men who adapt themselves into whatever they think is wanted. An older man stands out not because he does more, but because he does less. He listens without urgency, he speaks without rehearsing, he moves without rushing the moment forward. That restraint creates emotional gravity. When you stop performing, something subtle but powerful happens. The interaction slows down, space opens. She begins to invest more because she is no longer being entertained. She is being met. This is where philosophy becomes practical. A man who knows himself does not need to demonstrate himself. His identity is not under construction. It is already built, so he does not decorate it for visitors. Performing is an attempt to earn holding. Your center is a declaration of worth. That declaration is not verbal. It is embodied. And embodiment is what creates trust. A younger woman who senses that you are not adjusting yourself for her comfort feels safe to relax into her curiosity. She can explore without feeling responsible for your emotions. She can engage without feeling that she must manage your expectations. That freedom increases attraction, but when you perform, you introduce pressure. You make the interaction about outcome. You turn presence into strategy. And the moment she feels that, her nervous system pulls back. This is why trying to be impressive is the fastest way to become forgettable. Impression relies on novelty. Presence relies on depth. Depth holds attention longer. Hold it. Your center also means resisting the urge to clarify where things are going. Many men rush to define the dynamic because uncertainty makes them uncomfortable. But uncertainty is not a problem. It is a container. Attraction lives inside uncertainty. A grounded man allows that space to exist. He does not rush to label, secure, or possess. He understands that connection unfolds organically when it is not forced. This does not mean passivity. It means trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the moment, trust in the pace. And trust is felt as confidence. Another common mistake men make is overcorrecting in the opposite direction. They become distant or aloof in an attempt to appear unaffected. That is still performance. It is just performance in reverse. True centeredness is natural. It does not require effort. It is simply the absence of need. You are not withholding, you are not posturing, you are not managing perception. You are present. Presence is rare, and rarity creates value. This is why younger women often describe attraction to older men as different without being able to explain why. What they are feeling is the absence of performance, the relief of interacting with someone who is not trying to become something else in real time. That relief is powerful. And here is the deeper truth beneath all of this. A man who holds his center has already decided who he is before anyone else does. He is not waiting for reflection. He is not outsourcing self-definition. He is living from internal axis. The internal axis is what others orient toward. When you perform, you rotate around external approval. When you hold your center, others rotate around you. This is not about control. It is about coherence. Coherent people are attractive because they are predictable in the best way. Their emotional reactions make sense. Their behavior aligns with their values. Their presence is stable. Younger women are drawn to this stability because it contrasts sharply with the emotional inconsistency they often experience. It offers a different rhythm, a slower, steadier pace. And pace is everything. A man who rushes loses depth. A man who holds pace gains gravity. So the next time you feel the urge to do more, say more, explain more, or impress more, pause. Ask yourself one question. Am I adding or am I abandoning myself? Because the moment you stop performing is the moment attraction begins to breathe. And when you learn to stand fully in who you already are, without adjustment or apology, you no longer chase interest. You become the place where interest naturally gathers. There is a level of confidence most people never reach, not because it is difficult to understand, but because it is uncomfortable to embody. That level is reached the moment you become comfortable being observed without needing to respond to the observation. Most men believe confidence is about projecting strength, asserting value, or commanding attention. In reality, true confidence begins where the need to manage perception ends. Being comfortable, being observed, means you no longer rush to explain yourself when eyes are on you. You do not tighten when attention lingers. You do not feel the impulse to justify who you are or where you stand. You allow yourself to exist fully in the moment without commentary. This is where most men feel exposed. Observation feels like judgment to the insecure mind. When someone watches closely, especially someone younger, attractive, or curious, the ungrounded man feels evaluated. His instinct is to regain control by acting, speaking, or performing. He wants to steer the narrative before it forms without him. But the man who is truly confident understands something subtle. Observation is not threat. It is invitation. When a younger woman watches an older man quietly, she is not demanding proof. She is sensing alignment. She is asking, without words, whether this man is at ease with himself when nothing is required of him. And most men fail right there. They mistake stillness for passivity. They mistake silence for weakness. They mistake presence for absence. So they rush to fill the space. But space is not empty. Space is expressive. Space reveals comfort with self. A man who can sit inside attention without trying to direct it communicates an internal message that is deeply attractive. I am not seeking permission to exist. I am not afraid of being seen. I do not need to impress to feel whole. This is why comfort under observation is so powerful. It signals self-ownership. Psychologically, this touches something primal. Humans are drawn to those who appear internally resolved. When someone does not scramble under attention, it suggests that their identity is settled, and settled people feel safe to be around. They do not require management. They do not demand reassurance. They do not pull energy from the room. They hold it. This is what younger women often describe as presence, even if they cannot define it. Presence is not charisma. It is not charm. It is not intensity. It is the felt sense that a man is at home within himself. That feeling cannot be faked. You can rehearse lines. You can mimic confidence. You can copy behavior. But you cannot simulate ease under observation if it is not real. When a younger woman offers a subtle compliment and then watches what you do next, she is not measuring cleverness, she is measuring comfort. She wants to see if the attention unsettles you or simply passes through you. If you suddenly change, she notices. If you become louder, she notices. If you become quieter in a strained way, she notices. Your nervous system speaks before your mouth does. Being comfortable being observed does not mean being indifferent. It means being unshaken. You are still engaged. You are still warm. You are still human. But you are not altered. This is the difference between confidence and control. Control tries to shape perception. Confidence allows perception to exist. A confident man does not chase interpretation. He does not worry about how moments will be remembered. He trusts his presence to speak for itself. This is why men who possess this quality often seem slow, deliberate, and grounded. They are not slow in thought. They are slow in reaction. They allow moments to unfold without interference, and that slowness creates intensity. In a world that is reactive, the non-reactive man becomes the axis. Others orient toward him because he is pulled by stimulus. He is self-directed. This is especially compelling in age-different dynamics. Younger women are used to emotional immediacy, fast responses, quick validation, constant feedback. An older man who does not rush creates a different emotional climate. In that climate, curiosity deepens. She begins to lean in emotionally, not because you invited her to, but because you did not block her with performance. You did not fill the space with effort. You allowed her to feel into the moment. This is the paradox most men struggle to accept. The more comfortable you are being observed, the less you need to be interesting, and the less you try to be interesting, the more interesting you become. Because interest is not created by stimulation. It is created by depth. Depth requires space. Space requires stillness. Stillness requires self-trust. A man who trusts himself does not fear silence. He does not fear pauses. He does not fear attention without instruction. He knows that who he is does not need translation. This is also why men who reach this stage stop labeling interactions as flirting. They feel the dynamic, but they do not rush to define it. They allow it to breathe. They allow it to evolve or dissolve naturally. There is no desperation to capture the moment, because moments are not scarce when you are grounded. The final shift happens when you realize that being observed is not about being judged, but about being felt. People are not scanning you for perfection. They are sensing coherence. Are your words aligned with your energy? Is your posture aligned with your tone? Is your presence aligned with your values? When those things align, observation becomes connection, and connection does not need force. So if there is one discipline worth cultivating, it is this. Learn to stay present when attention arrives. Resist the urge to perform. Resist the urge to retreat. Let yourself be seen as you are, without adjustment, because the man who is comfortable being observed is no longer asking to be chosen. He is already standing in his place. And when you reach that place, attraction stops being something you pursue and becomes something that recognizes you, not because you demanded it, not because you earned it, but because you were steady enough to let it happen.